everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom or Tom. How's it going?
Tony, we are kind of bringing things a little bit full circle here, where one of the first guys we previewed in terms of, hey, this might be an interesting portal target for Ohio State is now one of, I don't know, do I dare say one of the last portal signings for Ohio State? I don't know. It feels it's probably too early to say that, but one of the at least middle to late portal signings for Ohio State, maybe. Tony, help me out here. Maybe.
Well, if it's not towards the back end, I've got this like supermarket sweep type of thing going on in my head where Ryan Day is just on his way to the register, just piling some guys into the portal or out of the portal. And I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm going to assume, yes, as we talk about LSU receiver Kyle Parker committed to Ohio State, one of the last, say, dozen players out of the portal to sign with Ohio State. Wide receiver, Buckeyes, we know, are still trying to bolster their wide receiver room, and they do it in the form of redshirt sophomore Kyle Parker, originally from Texas. This past year in 13 games, 31 catches, 330 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 kickoff returns for 35 yards total. A guy that can play inside or outside, which, hey, versatility is good for this Ohio State offense that is looking for it. Can do the Z thing that we've talked about, previewing other shows and previewing and talking about Kyle Parker in the past. We also did, I think that was the same show with DeAndre Moore. Both of those guys outside, inside type guys. And now fits pretty well with what Ohio State is looking to do. Joins Devin McEwen as fast guys. Not the biggest guy, 5'11", 195, but Tom, they've got enough big guys. They just need some guys that can stretch the field.
Yeah, and if there are not a ton of highlights from him on YouTube, but on the ones that you can watch, you can see him. He can get in the open field and show some burst. He can get behind defenders. He can kind of tightrope the sidelines. He can do a little bit of everything. And, as you said, they don't need another 6'4" guy. They need someone who can sort of potentially fit in a couple different roles, because this is a spot where they are looking to just kind of fill out the roster, and you don't need a super duper star. You need someone who can come in and be at least someone you can trust to be in the rotation, because that is a room that is very, very top heavy right now. You've got Jeremiah Smith. Mm-hmm. You got Brandon Innes. Those are really the two proven guys they have coming back. Behind them, you've got McEwen, who you mentioned, who UTSA transfer, who you've seen do it, but not at the Big Ten level. You've got Chris Henry Jr. and Jaquaden Guilford and Jaden Ricketts. I mean, you've got some talented freshmen coming in, but you haven't seen them do it at the college level. You really are just kind of at this point trying to backfill for some of the guys who they lost. They lost Bryson Rogers to the portal. They lost Mylan Graham to the portal. They lost Quincy Porter to the portal. You're now trying to sort of backfill for some of those guys to make sure you've got, without having to really rely on true freshmen, to make sure you've really got 4 or 5 proven guys, veterans who what you got. And one thing that helps with this, we've talked on a bunch of these shows about, Ohio State bringing guys back, and the benefit to bringing guys back is you really know what they're like, not just on film. You know what they're like in the building. You know what they're like in the meetings, all that kind of stuff. Bringing guys back that have been in your program is great, but in this case, it's a position coach bringing in a guy who he's been in those meeting rooms for years, so he really knows what you're getting here behind the scenes too.
Yeah, new Ohio State receivers coach Cortez Hankton recruited and signed Kyle Parker out of Lovejoy High School in Lucas, Texas. So he spent the time with him. He's vouching for him clearly. And as a guy that, as a redshirt freshman, started the season opener for them in 2024. And he finished the year that year, just 3 catches for 55 yards, but he was injured after, I think, 4 games and lost for the season. And yet, this was a guy, as a redshirt freshman, Cortez Hankton was like, you're in the lineup. You're out there starting season opener against USC, big game. It was a Herb Street Fowler game. So if you're a redshirt freshman starting that game, kudos to you. And now progresses to Ohio State. And like you said, Cortez Hankton knows all about him. One thing, like this past year, 31 catches, 330 yards, 10.7 yard per catch average. Not as explosive as you would like to see moving forward, especially as an outside receiver and in a slot. Certainly, you'd still rather see more explosion than that. We keep talking about Brandon Innes and his 7.5 yards per catch. That's not acceptable either. And they'll need to improve upon that. But now this gives them more options to do that. And of course, it also, it would help if you made that maybe more of your passing game in terms of it can't just be an outlet or it can't just be a third and short, little hook that you're throwing to those slot receivers. And so maybe with Carnell Tate gone, you've got to figure other ways out to get the ball downfield, and maybe they will do that some moving forward. But the Kyle Parker thing, I'm interested to see where it goes from here. 2 years of eligibility remaining, and just kind of scratching the surface. 4-star prospect. A lot of schools were after him. Big time Texas high school. Tom, I will tell you, in week 3 of his senior season, he caught 23 passes for 341 yards and 3 touchdowns against Argyle Kyle. Now, I don't know if that's just some weird kid or if that's a school. Either way, pretty impressive. 10, 8, 9 in the 100 meters and 23.04 in the 200 in high school as well. Clearly still, progressing, but as long as your new coach, your new position coach is like, hey, yes, we will take him. We want him. We want to bring him in. It's always interesting to see like the guys that not only a new coach wants to bring them in, but the player also wants to follow that new coach.
Yeah, I mean, that feels like that should be a good fit from both ends of things, where a lot of times these transfer portal signings, in some cases, guys aren't even visiting and they're just kind of committing sight unseen. That, you're seeing a lot of visits, but at times you have guys that are flipping very quickly. And, how sure are you that you really know what you're getting yourself into? In this case, both sides have at least a decent familiarity with each other, which will certainly help. And, you mentioned the speed. That's track speed. So that is, electronically timed, not there's not a lot of fudge factor there with those. And that is flying, those numbers. You are moving with those numbers. So, that's something where you've got some elements to your game. You've got you're bringing some different things to the Ohio State offense. And between Parker and McEwen, who both were track guys who put up really flashy track numbers, you get the sense that, we've said over and over again, bringing in veteran guys, bringing in guys who you've seen do it at a reasonably high level already. You're also bringing in some really exciting potential traits that you might have been missing in that room to a certain degree. No disrespect to Brandon Innes or Carnell Tate, but those are not guys who that's not, speed is not necessarily the first thing you hear when you talk about either of those guys. So, it's certainly something that this is a very intriguing addition to Ohio State, and probably one where the existing relationship there with between coach and player probably means it's more likely than average to be a successful partnership. Whatever that ends up meaning, it should work out reasonably well.
It now gives you 4 receivers in your room that have had over a 30 catch season in their career, joining McEwen and Brandon Innes and Jeremiah Smith. So that already tells you there's going to be rotation, which is something that we haven't seen. And that's not even mentioning what they get out of Chris Henry Jr. or Jerquaden Guilford. Right now that this team is going to go more than 3 receivers deep. And I think that's a good thing overall for the offense. And you're looking for playmakers. The more you can add into the mix, the better. So there you go. Buckeyes have a brand new wide receiver, Kyle Parker from LSU. 2 years of eligibility remaining, and we will see what happens here in the future what they can get out of him. What we can get out of you guys is a thumbs up. That'd be fantastic. A 5-star rating and review. Just general appreciation. Boy, we don't look for much. Just if you see us out in the open, a hug, a pat on the back, something like that. We would appreciate it. It's cold out there. It's wintertime. Any kind of warmth we can feel, we welcome it. So that will do it from here, especially Tom. Any kind of warmth he can feel, loves the hugs. Loves the hugs.
If you have a barrel with a fire burning in it, always welcome me in there. Happy to warm my hands around the barrel this time of year.
He'll be there singing doo-wop songs with you. He loves it all. So that will do it from here. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will talk to you all later.